Yes, this is DJ Ski.
I'm Jeff Wilson.
Hey guys, Andy Broom, Vice President CGC Cards.
Hey, this is Jason Howard with Panini.
Yo, I'm Q Harrison.
Hey gang, this is Tom Verrilli. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Whatnot.
This is Teapot from Sports Card Investor.
This is Adam Rips with VFriends.
What's up? This is Aaron from Slab Stocks.
Hey, this is Clark from 5 Card Guys and the Cards to the Moon podcast.
Hey guys, this is Jay with Wild Card.
What's up everyone? This is Duke Dodson from Graybows.
What's up everybody? This is Chris Kelsey from Nash Cards.
What's up everyone? This is Mark Hill from My Card Post.
This is Ray Schulte.
This is Chase Krim.
This is Cody from Texas Roadshow Shop.
This is Mark Aaron from WSB Radio in Atlanta, and you're listening to the Sports Card Strategy Show.
I'm loving the content.
Loving the content here.
I'm loving the content here on the Sports Card Strategy Show.
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 And I'm telling you, the Sports Card Strategy Show.
This is the Sports Card Strategy Show with your man, Paul Hickey. What's good?
Be sure to subscribe for year-round advice on keeping your portfolio up to date.
Part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, the #1 place for advice on how to make money flipping sports cards. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there is no off-season.
There is no off-season.
There is no off-season.
And there's no off-season.
You already know, there is no off-season.
No off-season!
All right, you ready to rock?
Ready to go.
When you get into this game, the reason why you pay someone like Paul Hickey to get your sports card strategy together is because sometimes when you're starting out, you need perspective, you need wisdom, you need insights. And so he's been around the track enough times where he can actually coach you up and guide you. Doesn't mean he's going to take you to the promised land tomorrow, but you now have a coach by your side that can advise and kind of even create these pathways where you can get the education yourself. And that's a lot better than thugging it out on your own. Thugging it out on your own.
What? The kids better buy my rookie card now. Cause after this year, the price ain't coming down.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Paul Hickey. It's time to sit back, listen, learn, and earn with me on the Sports Card Strategy Show. What's up, everybody? Happy to be here with you. It is buying season, and we're going to get into my strategy and some thoughts around what your strategy should be as we enter sports card buying season. Hello to Cloud City Cards, Chad Dyer, Terry Anderson, Dakota Cards and Collectibles, Howls.co. What's up? That's my guy, Jake. Cool Cards 607. D&D Rips, Toronto Card Collector, Jason Mendoza, Geo Sports Cards, Must Have Sports Cards, and Borosic 58 over there on IG. You might be watching on IG at Sports Card Strategy. You might be watching on YouTube at youtube.com/Paul Hickey, or you might be listening on Apple and Spotify. Welcome in however you get your Sports Card Strategy Show. I am happy to be here with you in this wonderful hobby of ours, ready to start buying quite a bit of sports cards, putting together my 2025 strategy. To me, David T and Eric Sorensen in the live chat. What's up, guys? 2025 started on November 1st. That's when 2025 started. 2025 to me is a 14-month year because I wanted to liquidate everything by October 31st. And in hindsight, I should have done it a little bit earlier with a lot of the football cards. That was one takeaway, is that, selling all of your football cards before the football season starts is it's helpful in terms of mitigating some risk, mitigating some potential losses. And while you might not take as much money off the top by doing that, you probably end up more net positive than you do if you hold on a little bit too long, as we've seen with a lot of the quarterback pricing dip. And so we learned that lesson last basketball season as well. And we learned that lesson last baseball season. So for baseball, basketball, and football, we've seen the same pattern over the last 12 months. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a What Worked Best in 2024 episode. And in that episode, I was 100% transparent with all of you on basically how much profit margin I made in 2024 and what I was going to do in 2025 to improve upon it was brewing in my brain, and made the announcement last week that I was only going to buy 5 players. Now that's a way of basically narrowing my focus. We talk in sports card school at nooffseason.com about narrowing your focus. And so I realized that where a lot of my profit margin went was to spreading myself too thin. So basically what I mean by that is I bought too many players. I bought into too many players. I went too wide, and I probably went there's a saying that's like, well, should you go deep and deep into a narrow focus, or should you go wide and go shallow in the wide, as you expand your focus or expand your net, right? Casting a wide net, but going shallow. I actually casted a wide net and went pretty deep. And so what I learned is that when you were wrong, whether it's on a raw to grade play, an already graded play, a particular player, maybe a Panini Instant, maybe a Topps Now, maybe a crack and submit, all these different things, it really can cost you and eat into the profit margin that you made when you were right. And so I want to put some walls around me. I want to box myself in 2025. And so one way that I know will work for me, it may or may not work for any of you. It's not necessarily a suggestion or a recommendation for the audience as much as it is just a thought to maybe try and put some parameters around what you're doing. I think it's smart to narrow your focus around something, and I'll explain why. But the way that I'm narrowing my focus in 2025 is to restrict myself to 5 players, right? So it's not necessarily going to be like a cure for me, but what it's going to do is it's going to force me to make smart decisions. Because if I box myself into 5 players, I feel like there's going to be enough opportunity for me across those 5 players to have fun and not feel like I'm missing out on anything. And it's going to be a challenge to make sure that if I'm going to buy one of only 5 players each time I make a purchasing decision, I'm going to challenge myself each time I make a purchasing decision to do the research and be very, very smart about that and have an end goal. For those of you that are new to the Sports Card Strategy Show and the nooffseason.com family, we've talked for years on this show and at nooffseason.com about knowing, having a selling marker in mind before you even buy a card. So basically that's a different way of saying, have your end game, your end goal mapped out before you even buy the card. And the more options that are in your end goal, the better. I've talked about players like Shedeur Sanders and Caleb Williams and Arch Manning over the last, 24 months. And I like those guys, even Bronny James. I've liked those guys because they've had multiple opportunities to get out of their cards when you buy them. Because they have hype around them, and then they might have obviously like starting a new season, having a big game, maybe being in awards discussion, maybe being in a college playoff discussion, the draft, right? So and then depending on where they get drafted, maybe plan their preseason hype for their new pro team before their pro uniform cards come out. So I think whether you decide to blatantly do what I'm doing, or whether you decide a different way of essentially becoming a deeper expert in one area of sports card flipping, I think that will help. Some other examples of like a totally different way to narrow your focus would be like people in the hobby that only specialize in vintage, or going even more narrow than that, one particular year or one particular set within a sport. And there are people who can make a lot of money because they become the expert or one of the top subject matter experts in that particular niche of the hobby. And that's why I love what I do here at nooffseason.com and the Sports Card Strategy Show. And that's why I believe we've built an amazing community with all of you, because there really is like an infinite amount of possibilities because there's new releases all the time. And with each new release comes opportunity into the future. And I think that's an interesting segue, because I think one of the biggest challenges to executing a successful sports card strategy is to deal with new releases. Like, dealing with new releases is hard because we all see on social media all the time and on, the different live shopping apps, big hits, and we see news about like high dollar card sales and things like that. And so the sports card strategy show is more of an every person's show. Like, you don't need to win the lottery to, win the proverbial lottery of getting a big case hit or getting a big 1 of 1 or something like that to make money in the hobby. There's a methodology that we try to facilitate for all of you to do it, regardless of your budget, and regardless of what you like to do the most. And there are basic guidelines that we follow. We outline them at sportscardschool@nooffseason.com. And so what I'm here to talk to you about today is basically my 2025 plan to follow the guidelines, strategies, and plays that we've laid out in sportscardschool@nooffseason.com. Obviously, part of your premium membership there, you can get a free 30-day trial if you're not already a member. There's a bunch of other tools and things like that, like the sports card rankings based on our formula, like the new inventory tracker that we just launched. Of course, the premium pod is a fan favorite. That's a community favorite. I should say a FAM favorite. So I want to get into today the process that I've gone through to pick my 5 players. And then a week from today on November 13th with Lefty, I'm going to reveal my 5 for 2025. And Lefty and I are going to have a conversation with all of you. And I'll be interested into all of your feedback, not only on this episode, but of course on that episode, about the players that I've chosen, about my process getting there. What you think, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to poke holes in, different things like that. But I've started to go through a process of picking my 5. I'm going to reveal that 5 a week from today. So Wednesday, November 13th, and get Lefty's take, get your take, and start buying essentially. So full disclosure, I haven't really bought any sports cards since probably October 24th or 25th. Invested in some raw to grade plays based on the formula, invested in some raw to grade, of course, the tops now in the Panini instant plays that we talk about quite a bit on the show. But I've really cooled down my buying because I really want to get strategic as I enter into buying season, which typically, the reason why we call it buying season here at the Sports Card Strategy Show is because historical data has shown us over the last several years that between Thanksgiving and Christmas, the prices for baseball, basketball, and football cards typically dip overall. So you can, whereas you might have been able to go get a deal on a particular player due to their situation, now you're in a position where you could probably look at everybody's prices and see if there's a dip in their pricing compared to their historical pricing, as well as doubling down on that if it's a player who's like injured or underperforming during that time period. So again, like 13% total net profit margin in 2024 for me, and really feel like I can get it much, much closer to 30 to 50% in 2025. And I think that, again, boxing yourself in a little bit, forcing yourself to learn more and become a subject matter expert is really what I'm trying to do by picking 5. It's not anything other than that. So I'm excited about it. And I think for those of you wondering, like, what it's actually going to do is it's going to open up, more opportunities for me to talk about all sorts of plays with you in 2025, because yes, there's going to be segments of the show where I'm updating you on how I'm doing and what plays I'm making with my 5, but it's going to leave a ton of players, obviously, that I want to be making plays on, that I'm just basically going to give to all of you guys, because I'm still going to be doing all the research on all those players. But since I'm boxing myself in, I think it's kind of a double bonus, because you guys are going to get a lot more opportunities just directly from me as part of this show because I won't be able to buy them. So definitely want to say what's up to Hoosier Card Guy, Sean H, Oh My Shoes, and the Card Society in the house. So definitely feel free, those of you in the live chat, to talk amongst yourselves if you want to. That's kind of become, I think, a favorite of some people in the live chat. But we're going to proceed on with the show here. So in terms of who I'm looking at and my process to get there and how I'm going to deal with new releases, which again, I spoke about a minute ago as being, I think, one of the biggest distractions to people like us who are trying to really be analytical and thoughtful and fiscally responsible with our purchases to make money flipping sports cards. New releases is like that, that distraction, right? And it's tempting because there's opportunity that comes with new releases. And so as I think about my 5, I think about what categories make sense for me to get into. So obviously sports as a category, I think like vintage versus ultra modern, established veteran versus new prospect, flyer, these are all different sort of categories of my 5. And, 5 fills up really fast. So, I think the categories that I've come up with so far are, one general category is players with no more rookie print run. I think defining a category of what I'm investing in 2025, which begins like basically now, or for me, after I reveal, I called it like a 14-month year coming up. So it's basically November, December, 2024 through the end of the actual calendar year in 2025, right? And so I'll be buying and selling, of course. I'm not just going to be, and actually, I think that's another category is like, what's a quick flip versus a longer term hold versus an intermediate hold, right? Another category is like, who are you going to have to buy graded versus who can you have opportunities to buy raw, get good gem rates and flip. And so I got to think through all of these different things. And, so players with no more rookie print run, I think, is an important one. And it's a broad category, but it essentially will weed out, it'll weed out Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, all of the guys, it's going to weed out like Reed Shepherd, Zach Edey, because, and it's barely going to include like CJ Stroud and Victor Wembanyama. Like it's because we're still seeing, because of Fanatics and Topps coming in and Panini also taking forever to get through their cycle of seasonality with new rookie cards and all their releases and stuff. We're still seeing 2023 rookie releases hitting the market for guys like Stroud and Wemby. So we have to be very, very careful because the market does change as more supply becomes available to everyone, like the Mercury release of Wemby, even the Topps Chrome basketball release, even the Topps composite football release really screwed over the supply numbers for CJ Stroud's market. So that, I think that's been a factor in addition to his poor play. I think the increased supply just through the Topps composite football release, which is basically like Chronicles, putting tens of thousands more CJ Stroud rookie cards on the market, has been detrimental to his market. So it doesn't mean that you can't buy into a guy like CJ Stroud. It actually just means that we got to be careful with who we buy in determining like how many more releases of their rookie cards are going to hit the market before their rookie season is actually done from a hobby perspective, allowing the supply and demand of market to settle and for us to really buy in, knowing what the real upside will be moving forward. Pick Six Cards, what's up? Good to see you. So again, players with no more rookie print run, I think is a good one. I think looking at rookie print run being almost done, but a few more cards coming out for players. Caitlin Clark is probably the biggest example of that I'll throw out there on today's show, because, a lot of people know that Caitlin Clark has had cards out for a couple of years. You know, she was in the Bowman Chrome University release a couple of years ago. She was in Bowman Inception. She's since those cards came out, she had Bowman U Now and all that stuff. Since those cards came out, she signed an exclusive deal with Panini. She had her own collegiate Iowa Panini release where it was all Caitlin Clark cards in the blaster boxes. And then she had, a lot of Panini Instant, right? We made money on the Panini Instant draft nights. That was one of my best plays, raw to grade of 2024. So Caitlin Clark, and she's had a slew of Panini Instant come out since then that we've talked a lot about on the Sports Card Strategy Show. It's not done. WNBA Select 2024 just came out. I just got done talking about that on today's weekly basketball card market update that comes out every Wednesday. Her base from that release is selling for like between $55 and $60 just for her base concourse card, which is insane that it's that high, right? But I'm sure people will make money being first to the market on, some of those new Caitlin Clark plays. Panini Prism should still come out at some point. Prism WNBA, which probably should supersede all of those other Caitlin Clark cards. Maybe not rendering them worthless, of course, but just probably, most likely, causing their prices to dip. So there are more releases that will come out for Caitlin Clark. There might even be more releases coming out for Victor Wembanyama. So it's looking at which players are done with their rookie print run and have been done for a while, what opportunities exist there, and then which are almost going to be done, meaning likely to finish sometime in the next 14 months, but presenting quite a bit of opportunity to buy in, maybe do some raw to grade. And then getting into, flyers and players that, people get injured all the time. So let's get into some specific players that I'm thinking about buying. And we're going to do a little research here together on the Sports Card Strategy Show using Market Movers, my number one research tool. Marketmoversapp.com. You can use the promo code NOOFFSEASON if you want to save 20% for life. I use Market Movers as my main research tool. The tool that we sell at NOOFFSEASON.com basically takes data from all the different data tools and gives you like a recommendations engine. So that's why when we talk about our formula-based sports card rankings, that's the only tool that exists that will recommend cards to buy based on upside of raw to grade and already graded and graded to raw, of course. So here's where my mind goes. Okay. And feel free to drop a comment below at youtube.com/Paul Hickey. Follow me on Instagram at Sports Card Strategy and maybe reply to my, when I post this on my Instagram story. And you can even comment on the podcast. You can comment on the podcast if you're a podcast listener through Spotify. So I'm interested to your guys' take on this, but here's my thought process. I want at least 2 of these players that I'm going to buy into, 2 of the 5. So I want 40% of this portfolio for 2025 that I'm going to flip. And make no mistake, I'm going to look to flip all of these cards in 2025. Like these are not, none of these do I plan on being a long-term hold. I'm not that guy. There are guys that we maybe bring into this show from time to time that are long-term hold guys. And we try to talk to them about it, maybe challenge them a little bit on what's the strategy there. Like, not that there's not a good strategy there, but I am just not a long-term hold guy. I see that for me as a recipe of getting burnt because the best way that I've been able to make money in the sports card market is through speed, speed, strategy, not rushing through on speed, but being fast enough to prepare to sell at the right time, knowing what the right time is to sell for each particular card and just selling, right? And moving on. So I am not a long-term hold guy. So I want 20% of my portfolio to be safe, essentially. And I've done some research, and these are Captain Obvious names coming up here, but I believe there are 2 spots in my 5 for some of the following guys. And I think that they all kind of fit in the safe category. But with safe, with the challenge with safe is, how do you make money on safe, right? So I need to do a little bit more research before next Wednesday's show on which of these guys I'm going to pick. And we can do a little bit of that research today for fun, so you can see kind of my process. So the guys in the safe category are Shohei Ohtani, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan's unique to me in a sense that I've never really done vintage, and Jordan at this point in time, even though he does have cards kind of through the early 2000s, it's vintage. It's vintage. I mean, it's going all the way back now to 1984 Star. You still got the 86 Fleer. You've got, Jordan just has a ton of cards, which makes him interesting. And it seems to be solid, but not risky. But how much upside is there in buying into Michael Jordan? Good to see Sean Red 5 cards in the house. So yeah, Michael Jordan would be my first ever vintage play if I choose him. If I don't choose him, there's a good chance I will choose a vintage play for 2025. Within this, there will be several different cards. Within each player, there would be several different cards that I would buy, right? So it's not, it's not that any Michael Jordan card that I pick would make me money. It's I need to do a deep dive into Michael Jordan cards if I pick him in order to make money on him. So I need to understand what the top Michael Jordan cards would be to actually maneuver to make money in his market. Seems to be a solid market, but how much opportunity is in there to actually profit, right? So one thing that I would do is I would go to Market Movers, which I'm doing right now. I'll share my screen with you guys. And I am expecting a package from a grading company to show up via FedEx any second. So if I do play the intro again randomly in the middle of the show, it's because I just ran down to get my FedEx package, and I will be right back. So I don't have a co-host today, so that'll be my signal that, hey, package is here, gotta go get it, because signature required, as you all know, and could be for some grading clients at nooffseason.com. So gotta catch the package. And if you hear the intro again, the show is not over. The show is only over when I play the outro. So anyway, let's move on. So, I mean, one thing I think is okay, let's look at top sales volume of Michael Jordan cards in Market Movers over the last 365 days. You've got Fleer base 1990, 1991 Upper Deck base. These are raw. 1990 Hoops base, 1989 Hoops base, 1990 Skybox. I know all these cards. 1989 Fleer, 1989 Hoops All-Star. The 88 Fleer base is interesting because there's some high upside there from a grade standpoint. A lot of these cards I've owned. Am I sick of them? I don't know. These are things I had to consider. You need this to be fun. Now, if we go to graded only, and we're still by sales volume, you're seeing a lot of the same cards. So you're looking at okay, this Fleer base 1990, just at a cursory view, buying it raw at $5 and selling it in PSA 9 or PSA 10 for $23 or $180. That's going to be hard. I mean, this card's from 1990. So who knows, right? I mean, BG, is there upside from an SGC 10 to PSA 10? Kind of. I mean, SGC 10, $100 last sale. A day later, PSA 10 sells for $179. So you got to look for like where, cursory view of like, is there opportunity for these different types of plays? Now, if we go to average sale price, and we filter by the highest average sale price, and we do something like, all right, it's got to have in a year, it's got to sell at least 100 times. I think that's a good indicator, right? So I'm in Market Movers and I'm like, Michael Jordan cards graded only, 365 days, number of sales 100 minimum, right? You're still going to get a lot of cards. It's going to start to narrow down maybe more where the opportunity exists if you filter by average sale price. So Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer base, that card dominates this. PSA 9 is number 1, BGS 9 is number 2, PSA 8, BGS 8 5. I mean, you got to scroll down down to outside the top 10 before you get to his 1986 sticker base and PSA 9. Then you got to keep scrolling. His 1987 Fleer base, there's a lot of opportunity there. That card sells very well. So I have to make a determination. What opportunity exists in the Michael Jordan market? Well, probably very few raw to grade. Probably several opportunities to crack and resubmit. Probably what I have to still figure out is what opportunities exist to simply just time the market, right? Like if you look at the 86 Fleer 57 base, right? The Jordan. Like this is the card that before Star started being graded by PSA that everybody considered to be like his true rookie. And now it's like one of his rookie cards, right? But still probably the one that has the most awareness in the hobby, the most liquid. The data shows that. So if we go like last 365 days, here's how my mind works. I want to know, are there points in the market? Now, some of this is going to be based on eye appeal, especially depending on what grading company you're going to buy. But are there points in the market where you can buy low and sell high? And so if you look at the dips on this card, you see the lowest sale price of the year comes at $5,010 in February, mid-February. And the highest point in the year comes at $8,910 in August, mid-August. This is the PSA 8. Okay, so in case I forgot to say that, this is the PSA 8. This would be a card that for me, and the 365-day average being 6,580, this is a card that for me, like I would struggle to get here. I'm not spending this much money on one card. So what I'm interested in doing is looking at more of like a PSA 4. And just my process is kind of going through all of the different grades, including Beckett, BGS, SGC. Are there CGC cards? The perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards from their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing. CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today. Like, are there CGC? There's obviously multiple grading companies and multiple grades. So, the PSA 4, right? Low for the year was actually just a couple of months ago in PSA 4. Now you're going to get all different kinds of eye appeal on a PSA 4. So I've done my research. I understand it seems like it would be easy to be like, oh, we'll just try to buy one at 1,000 and then flip it at, almost 4,000 because it's sold. Its high in the year is March 6th, $4,250. It's not that easy because, eye appeal, meaning centering, corners, edges, that plays into a card that's a vintage card. So it's going to be hard for me. I think it's going to be harder for me actually to profit on Michael Jordan, but I do think that it will be hard to lose a lot of money on Michael Jordan. But that's why I want to have one of those types of guys in this 5. Now, what I've been toying with is instead of going Jordan, do I go LeBron? What do you guys think? Instead of going Jordan, do I go LeBron? And here could be the case for that. LeBron could be just as solid of an asset throughout the year, the 14-month year that I'm looking at, 2025, but with maybe more upside than Jordan, because he's still playing and he's still doing amazing things on the court, and the Lakers are off to a good start. And, who knows what that means, but he was in the new Netflix documentary, and he was, he's very, very likable in that documentary, Starting Five. And, we've obviously got Bronny on the team, JJ Redick, the new coach. So all eyes on the Lakers, all eyes on LeBron still coming off the gold medal. I mean, solidifying the legacy. So there might be more opportunities in the LeBron James market that have a higher ceiling with a high floor compared to the Michael Jordan market. So I'm debating between those two guys. I don't think there's room for both of them, although I'm not ruling out anything at this point. Shohei Ohtani is another guy that's in this category for me, active GOAT. Winning the World Series. I haven't bought a Shohei card since March. Maybe even February, because timing the market on Shohei, it makes much more sense to buy him. Last year was different because he was injured. He signed with the Dodgers. It was a different type of year for him. But now I think we're entering into, we know who Shohei Ohtani is coming into next season. He's obviously coming off his first ever World Series championship, which is huge. He's expected to return to pitching in 2025, which could be huge. He has solidified himself in the GOAT status. 2024 was also weird for him because of the whole interpreter scandal. So there were a lot of reasons why I sort of faded Shohei last year. And I think I was on record as saying on the Sports Card Strategy Show that I was going to wait until November, December 2024 to start buying him again, because he was going to return to pitching again in 2025, and there wouldn't be as long of a wait to quick flip him. So I think Shohei, coming out of mainly 2018, although he's got his 2017 Bowman Mega Box card and some others, from the 2017 Bowman release. Mainly he's 2018 Bowman Topps. A lot of cards. A lot of cards in a more affordable price range than Jordan and LeBron. And I still think, the formula has led us in the right direction with a lot of raw to grade Shohei plays. And I think there's some crack and submit Shohei plays that exist. So it's going to be hard to leave Shohei out of my 5. Maybe there's a chance he doesn't make it, but to me, he's the right player to be investing in, timing the market in the next 2 or 3 months, flipping him during the hype of him returning to the mound, the Dodgers getting their rings, all this stuff. It's freaking Shohei. So I don't really need to spend that much more time on him. Some other players that are on the list, Caitlin Clark and Victor Wembanyama. I think, the reason why Caitlin Clark is on the list is not because she's Caitlin Clark. It's because I think that she, because I want to leave someone on the list that's got new releases coming out throughout the next several months to participate in buying and flipping those singles and trying to be first to the market. So when you're doing, if you're going to have, for me, if I'm going to have Jordan, LeBron, Shohei type players, which is going to be much more that means I'm going to be holding cards until I get to a selling marker, which sometimes drives me nuts. just from a cash flow in and out speed perspective, I need to have somebody that I'm consistently buying raw, grading, flipping, buying raw, grading, flipping, buying raw, grading, flipping, right? And so because Caitlin can be risky potentially because she's got a bunch of cards coming out still, what we've seen with her market is that it's actually pretty steady. Her cards don't dip too much. I could even go back to some of the Bowman U Chrome and see if there's some huge deals there. And I could also play the I want to still try to be first to the market with Caitlin Clark rookie cards graded game and probably not lose too much money because there's so much interest in her. And then on the ones that hit, like that I get 10s on, I'll probably make a ton of money. So she's like a risk reward play, actually with like pretty low risk. That could end up eating like most of my budget. You know what I mean? So I could be sitting on some Jordan and Shohei's, and I could be flipping Caitlin throughout the year, and that sounds appealing to me. Wemby is on the list because I believe in him as a player. I believe that, this is a flag plant. So it's fun to have our flag plants. It's fun to have like our opinions matter at some level. You guys know I'm into the data. Mostly I just care about data, smart decision. But I think at some level, our opinions and how we feel about a particular player matter in sports cards because there's that fantasy sports betting aspect of it that drives some passion, right? So like for me last couple of years, it was Anthony Edwards. I was all excited. I had predicted Anthony Edwards was going to be the next thing. I was right about that. I 10x'd on my biggest Anthony Edwards card. So Anthony Edwards is in consideration. He's in consideration. I don't think it can be him and Wemby. I do think Ant-Man could make it to the NBA Finals and maybe even win the NBA Finals. But I think Wemby could do what Ant-Man did last year in the playoffs and individually be that guy. So I hear my dog barking. I feel like the FedEx truck might be close. If you hear me play the intro, it's because I have left to go get my FedEx package, and I will be back within the 2-minute intro. I'll probably end the intro early. It'll be the first time I've ever played the intro twice on a Sports Card Strategy Show episode. But because I'm flying solo today and I'm expecting a package from a grading company, I've got to go get it at my front door. So anyway, back to the content. It's got to be either Wemby or Ant-Man. There's not room for both of them. So I've got to pick one. And it's going to be, Ant-Man would fall into it's going to be a little bit harder to find his graded, raw cards that are gradable because they've been maybe picked over since 2020. Still, I think they each have the performance spike ability that I'm looking for in an NBA playoff run. And they each have the market to sustain through maybe I don't get the grades that I want, or maybe I buy a card that's already graded that isn't a win, but it's also not a loss because I don't think either one of those guys is like, even if one of them suffers a catastrophic injury, I don't think it necessarily like kills their market. And I hope neither one does, of course, but we know injuries are a part of it, which is a good segue into this third guy that would be potentially in for Wemby or Ant-Man, and that's Paolo. Like, you guys have heard me talk about Paolo as the next Ant-Man, and I've made money on Paolo. He's injured. So now I'm intrigued because I feel like if he's out with this oblique injury for a long time through the buying season, maybe there's some massive deals. And now there's a selling marker of him just simply coming back, which is now intriguing me. I know a lot of you kind of felt that way about Ja Morant. So now is Paolo more attractive, and does he supersede Ant-Man and Wemby? So now I'm looking at needing to pick between Paolo, Ant-Man, and Wemby. which will be very, very interesting. Now, another candidate for I want to actually go back up to another candidate for the spot for Shohei, LeBron, and Michael. I think the reason why there can't be LeBron and Michael, the reason why there can't be AntMan and Wemby is because I got to pick an NFL quarterback. There has to be an NFL quarterback in here. Like I can't go through the buying season. I've made too much money on NFL quarterbacks. They have too high of an upside and too stable of markets to not have an NFL quarterback. And so far I've talked about quite a few players and not even gotten to football. So my NFL quarterbacks that I'm looking at, Patrick Mahomes, solely because he's kind of that Jordan-esque player. It's not Tom Brady where you have to go all the way back through the last 3 decades. You can just simply go back to 2017, which is attractive to me. Learning more about Mahomes cards since 2017 that also might be nice non-rookie investments. Is it a performance spike type of play? Probably not, because we've already seen him win so many Super Bowls that I don't know that another Super Bowl drives up his market to a whole other level, although there is that possibility. I just don't want to pick Patrick Mahomes because of him winning another Super Bowl as a performance marker in the market. I just don't think that another Super Bowl win would drive his market to a whole other level. I think it would just stay pretty much the same from a price standpoint. There may be more demand, but I just don't know that it can get any higher. So I could be wrong, but I think that Mahomes is an interesting one. It's going to be hard to pick Mahomes, but I'm thinking about it. The other two, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, these are guys that are in just solid organizations right now and have the upside that can be realized as an investment. So whereas Mahomes has sort of already realized his upside and it's almost built in, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love have seen their markets dip quite a bit since the beginning of this NFL season, but they're still the same guy. They're still the same guy that they were. And they're still in the same organization, and their organizations are dedicated to them. And Jordan Love's been injured. So I'm not out on Jordan Love. In fact, I'm even more intrigued on going in to Jordan Love and to CJ Stroud, because now they're each in the pocket of, we think we've seen all of the rookie cards for CJ Stroud now, which is good. And Jordan Love, we know we've seen them all. And so I got to pick an NFL quarterback. And for now, those are the 3 I'm thinking about. There might be more that I go through the process of that I talk about with you guys next week with Lefty when I make my announcement. Flyers, Arch Manning and Shedeur Sanders. These are guys that are near and dear to my heart. I own some of their cards already that I have not sold. I don't want to put myself in a position where I can't buy them in 2025 because I believe a couple reasons. Arch has yet to really be Texas's starting quarterback. And I believe that when he's the unquestioned starting quarterback for Texas for an entire season, it could really be something special and blow the roof off of the card market. So I want to be able to be buying Arch Manning cards in anticipation of that, which I believe will happen in 2025. And he has so many cards dating back to 2023 with the release of some of his Prism throwback stuff that was print on demand, that you can go back and buy that stuff for pretty cheap and it should go up in value. So Arch, I think there's a ton of history with his cards already, even though he's still young. I think there's a ton more to come. And I think there's a ton of upside for him as a player and to blow the roof off of his market, aka Arch Madness. Shedeur Sanders, same thing. I mean, I think Shedeur is just getting started as an NFL level quarterback. That's a flag plant, but it's not a hot take. I've seen it. The proof is there in how he's playing, how he has played, how he handles things. and the market is there for Shedeur. So I don't want to rule myself out necessarily of his first pro releases either, which will be coming in 2025. So I got to be smart about that. Two other players that I haven't mentioned that kind of fit into, do I go, the basketball players that I pick, should I not be ruling out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a guy that could very well be the darling of the hobby later this year. He could be, I've said Paolo Banchero is that guy. And now I'm even more attracted to him because of his injury. But looking at the other side of that, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, no injury history, phenomenal team, dominant team, primes to potentially make a finals run and be better than Anthony Edwards. So it's interesting. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in the conversation. Paige Beckers is in the conversation to look at the Caitlin Clark model. I know a lot of people in the hobby are looking at the Caitlin Clark model and they're investing into Paige Beckers because of the Caitlin Clark model. I don't know that I want to do that, but it's on the table. I need to do some more research. I think this process has been super, super fun for me. I think that hopefully it's been fun and beneficial for you. Some of the upcoming releases that I hinted at, according to Beckett.com, we still have on the horizon here, National Treasures Collegiate Football. Gonna have some big names in it and some college uniforms. Top Stadium Club Baseball. We've got Topps Chrome Update Baseball. We've got let's see. We've got Certified Football for 2024. So that's going to be your Caleb Williams, your Jaden Daniels rookies. We've got Panini 1-and-1 basketball 2023. That's supposed to be coming later this month. That's going to still be Wemby. You've got 2024 Absolute Football later this month, which is your Caleb's and your Jaden's. You've got this is an interesting one. So this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier with the Wemby releases still hitting the market. 2023 Panini Contenders Optic Basketball. So there's going to be like more, even though it's not going to have a rookie ticket auto for Wemby, there's going to be more Wemby cards. And there's probably, you could bet on like a case hit there. We've got Donruss Football already out. We've got Panini Black Football coming out, National Treasures Basketball. So there's going to be Wemby's release with obviously Scoot and Brandon Miller and those guys. 2023 National Treasures Basketball, Immaculate Basketball. 2023 doesn't actually come out until January 2025. Bowman Draft Baseball is a huge one. So I would technically be unable to participate in Bowman Draft Baseball plays, which I made some money on with a Wyatt Langford raw to grade flip. So we're going to have Travis Bazzana, Jack Caglianone, some other guys that are interesting in the 2024 Bowman Draft Baseball, which we'll talk quite a bit about. Thanks to Cyrus DeHoyt, Scott Huff, Sean Red 5 Cards for jumping in late here in the live chat. Good to see all you guys. Integrity Sports Cards, Cardboard Haven, Emo Cards, Kike's Cards, Brian Callahan, All Grit Sports Cards, B Willie Cards, trying to name people off that are joining live via Instagram. Cards with Chris, The Real Old Miguel, premium member, a lot of premium members at nooffseason.com that I just shouted out. H-Town Cards, everybody, thanks so much for joining me on the Sports Card Strategy Show. The FedEx truck has not shown up yet, so I didn't have to hit you with the intro twice. I'm hitting you with the outro now. Look forward to seeing you guys on Monday, where I talk with my guy Clark from 5 Card Guys about some serious sports card strategy, and then back with Lefty next Wednesday as well. For those of you who are premium members at nooffseason.com, I am looking forward to recording the premium podcast for you guys that it's going to air this Friday with awesome answers to your questions. Everybody have a great day. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. If you enjoyed the content on today's show, there's plenty more waiting for you at nooffseason.com. Just go to nooffseason.com right now and get a free 30-day trial. You get our formula-based sports card rankings, sports card school, inventory tracker, the ability to grade with us, and the premium podcast where we answer an unlimited amount of your questions. Check it out right now at nooffseason.com. For everyone at nooffseason.com, I'm Paul Hickey. Thanks again for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. We'll see you again soon. Have a great day.